Hello guys, how are you all? Welcome to my channel. So, today we are gonna see, what if Naruto shows his Rinnegan during the Chunin Exam, part 2. Subscribe if you enjoy the video. Let's start the story. Seriously, was it too much to ask for a humble Uchiha? Clearly it was, as Sasuke looked at Naruto with a smirk. Naruto narrowed his eyes. If Sasuke honestly thought he would be allowed to fight Gaara, he was in for a rude awakening. Heck, he had already lost his chance at promotion when he attacked Naruto during the preliminaries. He did not have the right to stand on this stage. Despite Naruto's increasingly strong killing intent, Kakashi managed to regain his composure. Now, what's with the hostility? He asked nervously. Damn, the kid's killing intent was something else. He would swear up and down that the temperature dropped 20 degrees from it. Naruto was seething. That one-eyed bastard had the gall to act like nothing was wrong. Was he that stupid? Taking a few deep breaths, he walked over to Kakashi. You don't deserve this. Naruto growled. The man never saw it coming. Coating his left hand with chakra, mimicking his yin-half's claws, Naruto slashed upward straight through his sensei's left eye. Kakashi fell to his knees, clutching his face, as he screamed in agony. He never expected Naruto to attack him. The chakra had incinerated the optic nerve, preventing the eye from ever being replaced again. Naruto glared at his sensei with enough malice to make Madara Uchiha flinch. If you ever embarrass the Leaf by being so disrespectful ever again, I'll take away more than your Sharingan. He scolded, now get lost. You're a disgrace. Kakashi fled, hoping to get to the hospital in time to save his eyesight. Sasuke fumed. Naruto had destroyed his clan's bloodline right in front of him. He would not stand for this. Going through hand signs, he gathered his chakra into his left hand. The sound of birds chirping filled the air as he charged at his teammate. Naruto scoffed at Sasuke. The runt was using the Chidori like swinging a sword. What an idiot. Grabbing the Uchiha's wrist, he looked Sasuke in the eyes. The Chidori is supposed to be a stab, not a slash. You aren't worth my time if you can't even properly use what you've learned. Makes me wonder who the real dead last is. Naruto said, as he once again knocked him out. Up in the stands, Sakura was screeching at Naruto to let Sasuke go. The others just shook their heads at her. Sasuke was intent on injuring a comrade for no reason. Many who showed up for the exams after hearing of the boy realized that he wasn't as good as the rumors said. He was definitely unstable, so why praise him when it was clear he was a flight risk? At least the Uzumaki was smart enough to call him out on his disrespect. It's clear that the Hokage was not in favoritism. He did disqualify the Uchiha, after all. Back in the arena, Naruto had just arrived in the contestants' box. Deciding to start the next match, Genma called out, will Shikamaru Nara and Kankuro please come down to the field? Kankuro was sweating. If he fought now no. He needed to save his strength. Proctor, I forfeit. He shouted. The crowd loudly voiced their displeasure, while Shikamaru narrowed his eyes. So you noticed it too. Shikamaru turned to see Naruto walking towards him. Yeah. He is in perfect fighting shape, so there is no reason to give up yet. It just doesn't add up. Something's going to happen. He replied. Naruto nodded, I've got a bad feeling about this. In the cage box, the Hokage had similar thoughts. Was the sand going to try something? He shook his head. They didn't have the military power to do so. Turning his head to Naruto, he recalled his conversation with his student Jiraiya. Flashback start. The third Hokage was livid. Here was one of the people who had abandoned Naruto. His student Jiraiya. Hey sensei. Jiraiya said, completely oblivious to his teacher's killing intent. And pray tell, when you were going to inform me of Minato's survival? Hiruzen asked, along with the fact that he and Kushina had 2 children, not one. Jiraiya paled. His sensei was not supposed to know that. How did he find out? Judging by your expression, Hiruzen continued, I wasn't supposed to find out. Well, it was Naruto who discovered it. Jiraiya paled further. This was really bad. Sensei, I can explain, he started. Oh, I know why you did it. Hiruzen interrupted, furious at his student's attempts at justification. It was that damn prophecy. Well, you should know that Naruto saw right through all of you. He knows about his sibling and the marriage contract with her. Naruto hates incest. He knows of Kushina's awareness of the demon host's treatment. He knows that his parents abandoned him for his sibling. He knows of Tsunade's and Tsunade's part in the abandonment. He hates all of you. He also refuses to forgive the villagers for the hell they put him through. At this he sighed, more than that though, Naruto will never forgive his so-called family. The boy wants nothing less than to torture them worse than Anko on a bad day with Orochimaru's right-hand man. Jiraiya had practically lost all color by the end of his sensei's speech. This wasn't supposed to happen. How did he find out? Jiraiya asked. When he read his parents apostrophe, Jiraiya flinched at the venomous tone. Letters, he decided to analyze their bodies for any clues to the masked man's powers. Hiruzen began. Unfortunately, when he went to exhume the bodies, he found that the coffins were empty. He theorized that Minato and Kushina were alive. He then entered the Uzumaki Mask Temple outside the village. Utilizing the Shadow Clone Jutsu, he summoned the Shinigami for confirmation. The Death God not only confirmed his suspicions, but also informed him of everything. There was no masked man. The Shinigami also informed Naruto that he was the child of prophecy, not his sister. Needless to say, Naruto was enraged by the revelations and asked the Death God to inform Kami that if the world were to be destroyed, then he wouldn't lift a finger to stop it. Jiraiya was horrified by that last part. Not only was he wrong about who the child of prophecy was, but the real child of prophecy was going to let the world burn. How did it come to this? Is there any way to change his mind? He asked, grasping for straws at this point. No. He has made it clear that he wants nothing to do with you or your prophecy. I am forbidding you from interacting with Naruto Uzumaki. You have done enough damage, and you're lucky that I don't label Minato and Kushina as rogue shinobi. The third shouted, completely fed up with his student's refusal to accept that he messed up. Jiraiya left with his head down. He knew that he had essentially been told that if it wasn't for the fact that he would follow Minato, his student would have been labeled a criminal. As the man left the room, Hiruzen sighed, wondering just where he went wrong with his students. Flashback end. He was severely disappointed with his students. Jiraiya and Tsunade abandoned Naruto. They had lost their will to fire long ago. Speaking of Naruto, he remembered his conversation with the boy yesterday. It was quite a shock. Flashback start. Hiruzen Sarutobi was giggling. Why? It's just that for all his anger at his students, he is still a pervert who reads Makeout Paradise. He was just getting to the good part when the door to his office opened. Quickly putting the book away, he noticed it was Naruto who walked in. He began to sweat when he noticed the boy's left eye twitching. It only did that when he was about to punish a pervert. Deciding self-preservation was more important than his pride, he asked Naruto why he was there. Naruto activated a silencing seal and explained. I got a visit from Kami. He started, apparently, because of my statement, she decided to give me a choice. What was the choice? Hiruzen asked. The choice was to either accept my role in the prophecy or become a deity so that I would, by divine law, be unable to be a part of it. I would have to choose a new child of prophecy to replace me though. Naruto replied. Sarutobi was stunned. His surrogate grandson was given the choice of godhood. What were the details? He asked, knowing that there was more to the choice than at first glance. Naruto sighed, looking older than he actually was. If I were to accept becoming a god, I would be forced to put my deity responsibilities above my obligations as a shinobi. This means that if a meeting of the Divine Council is called, even if I am in the middle of a fight, I am forced to attend it. If something is against a divine law of my jurisdiction, I am to deal with it, regardless of whether or not it involves harming my friends. Those are just examples of the seriousness of this choice. Naruto explained. Hiruzen realized the gravity of Naruto's situation. On one hand, if he accepts godhood, it means he might have to harm or even kill his friends if it corrects an imbalance. On the other hand, declining would mean accepting his biological family regardless of their sins. Mulling it over, he came to a conclusion. Tell me Naruto, he began, what choice is a shinobi forced to make if his team is outnumbered and the only way to survive is to leave a member behind to stall? Realizing what his surrogate grandfather was saying, Naruto answered, he would be forced to leave a member behind. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. This could also mean that the team member could defect out of self-preservation, forcing the team to fight and or kill him or her. Even if they were friends. Indeed. Hiruzen smiled. Thank you Grandpa Seru. Flashback end. Hearing his old nickname warmed his heart. Naruto told him that he would contact Kami after the exams. He didn't want to potentially be interrupted in the middle of his match. Looking back at the arena, he wondered what the future would bring. Naruto was in the Namikaze estate, waiting for Kami to arrive. He had summoned the Shinigami, requesting an audience with her to give his answer. He had weighed the pros and cons of each choice and came to the same conclusion as the third Hokage. Just as he was beginning to get impatient, a portal opened and Kami stepped out. You made your decision faster than I had expected, Kami said. She had silver-colored hair with blue streaks in it. Her eyes were bright orange. She wore a white dress with red markings on them in the shape of a spiral, black pants with white stripes, and dark blue shoes. Yeah. Me, too. He said, so what are the full details, as I have accepted godhood? Kami wasn't surprised by his choice. He had been betrayed by his own flesh and blood. No one could let such a thing go. Not even herself. He also understood that, as a shinobi, he might have to make equally difficult choices. Being a god simply meant that it was more likely to be the case. First, you must understand this. You are replacing an ancient god known among mortals as the 10-tailed wolf or Jubi no Kami. Naruto's eyes visibly widened. The Juubi was sealed by the Sage of Six Paths. He split the Juubi into the 8-tailed beasts. To find out that it was a deity. That would cause an immense imbalance. I see you understand your divine station already. Kami continued, yes. You will be replacing the Juubi no Kami. This will stabilize the imbalance. The Juubi was the god of destruction, hence its signature, celestial art, cataclysm. However, it was attempting to destroy the divine tree when the sage sealed it. When the sage died, the seal caused him to take the Juubi with him, causing the imbalance. As a shinobi, I destroy things on a regular basis. Naruto said. True. Are you ready? Kami asked. Yes. Then let's begin. Naruto fell to his knees in pain. He could feel every bone in his body shifting, but he grit his teeth, refusing to back out. He grew to a massive 7'2". His hair turned black with red tips and grew thicker, almost like a mane. His muscles grew larger. Not to the point of bulging, but more of an athlete's build. His tailbone extended and split into 10 canine tails. His eyes turned a bright yellow, his nails sharpened into claws, and he gained a pair of wolf ears atop his head. His teeth grew razor sharp, 4 fangs jutting slightly from his lips, which had turned black. Finally, his forearms, legs, and tails grow a thick coat of black fur. When the changes finished, he let out a blood-chilling howl. Kami looked on in awe. She had expected Naruto to pass out from the pain or even change his mind and beg for her to stop the process. However, he did not. The boy's resolve to see his choice through to the end was incredible. He would make a great deity, no question about it. Heavens knows the divine council needed a leader with a backbone. Naruto's howl was one of absolute power and resolve. Well, how do I look? He asked. His voice had gotten much deeper and was practically flooded with power. She could hardly speak. Curse her predecessor's law against gods mating with each other. Unable to remove her blush, Kami simply pulled him through the portal. He chuckled. She was definitely going to be fun to tease. She led him to the council chambers, having regained her composure enough to explain his full station. Apparently, as the new Juubi, he ruled over the other gods. It was nearly identical to the job of a cage. Kami motioned him to go in, smirking, as she had an idea of what his method of entrance would be. Sure enough, Naruto got a wicked grin and kicked the council room doors open. Moments before Naruto and Kami's arrival, all of the gods were gathered in the chambers except Kami and Naruto, each was speculating on what Kami had called them for. They were startled out of their musings when the doors were violently kicked open. Some of the older members paled, recognizing Naruto's appearance as the Juubi no Kami. The younger ones, not so much. Who do you think you are? One of them shouted. He had a tiger-like appearance with a crossbow and a katana strapped to his back. Kami smirked at him. He is the new Juubi no Kami. You would do well to remember that, Susanoo. She informed the now paling storm god. As Naruto took his seat, some of the other gods were thinking that he would be little more than a pushover like the last Juubi. Oh, those poor fools. One of them stood up. He had a mouse-like appearance and a small sword sheath attached to his belt. I failed to see why we were called for this when you could have informed us separately. He asked with a sneer. Naruto's eyes were shadowed by his hair. He let loose his killing intent and the effects were instantaneous. Each of the gods that he sensed had thought that he was weak-willed like the last Juubi fell to their knees. They couldn't breathe from the intense pressure. The gods that weren't hit with it also found it difficult to breathe. The killing intent was just that strong. You think that a new leader of the gods is not an important enough event to warrant a full council meeting? Naruto asked, his voice dripping with malice. You seem to have forgotten your place on this council, Tsukiyomi. Perhaps you need a reminder. The now shaking Tsukiyomi sat down slowly. This one was different. He clearly wasn't going to tolerate any form of disrespect. This council seems to have let my predecessor's lack of spine go to their heads. Naruto said, you seem to have forgotten that each of you advise me. You do not make decisions for me. If you have a problem with that, by all means, let me know. The sickly sweet smile on his face that had many paling as he spoke turned predatory, making them flinch. I would be happy to correct those issues, he continued. The council shook their heads rapidly. Good. He said happily, eye smiling, as he did a complete 180 in his demeanor. Then let's all play nice, okay? On the outside, Kami's face was blank, but a chibi version was laughing her ass off in her head. The sheer terror on the council's faces at their helplessness was hilarious. The meeting went on for several hours with the council finding out just how helpless they were against Naruto. Eventually, it ended and everyone went back to their domains while Naruto went to see the Hokage. Back on the mortal plane, Hiruzen had a headache. Looks like Naruto made his decision just in time. He was contemplating the consequences of killing them and hiding their bodies when a portal opened. Breathing a sigh of relief at Naruto's return, he blinked at the changes, but soon paled at the number of tails. He now knew just which god his surrogate grandson had replaced. They were screwed. Naruto looked around the office before his vision landed on a group of 6. Looking at the one with spiky blonde hair, he scowled. "Well," he began, "isn't this an unwelcome surprise? So then, which of you should I torture first, father?" Naruto took in the sight. His expression was blank, but one look at his eyes told you he was furious. "Why do you ask?" Well, it turns out that his parents had decided to bring the Toad Elder Fukasaku. Likely to persuade him to accept the prophecy. Too bad they're one day late. While Naruto was contemplating if anyone would miss them, the others were staring at him confused. Here was a deity claiming to be Minato's son. What was going on? Then, they noticed the whisker markings and paled rapidly. That couldn't be. Yes it is. Hiruzen began after seeing their expressions. Minato, Kushina, Maya, Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Fukasaku, please meet the Jubi no Kami. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. But that means Jiraiya stuttered. Yes. I am no longer the child of prophecy, as gods aren't allowed to carry that title. Naruto answered, continuing where Hiruzen left off. Because of this, as the ruler of the gods, I must choose a new child of prophecy. Don't bother trying to convince me to hand that title to Maya. I was just in a meeting with the other gods. One of the topics on the meeting's agenda was making my choice, and it most certainly was not her. So then who was it? Fukasaku asked. Perhaps he could persuade the new child of prophecy to sign the Toad contract. Naruto glared at the Toad, having sensed the amphibian's thoughts. Satisfied at the fearful expression on its face, he began to explain. You all abandoned me to a village that had just been attacked by a tailed beast. He started, you practically handed the reason for their suffering to them on a silver platter. Did you honestly think that I would be seen as a hero? Were you truly stupid enough to believe that the village wouldn't hate me since I held the source of their pain? On second thought, don't answer. You clearly were stupid enough to believe those things or you wouldn't have left. Naruto scowled at Kushina, Lady Mito would be ashamed of you. What did she say was the most important thing for a demon host? Kushina turned away, unable to look her eldest in the eyes. Love. She answered. Correct. He continued, I grew up knowing nothing of love. Only hatred. Hatred for this village. Hatred for those who wronged me. Hatred for those who made my life a living hell. Now you want me to tell you all who I chose as the new child of prophecy? Don't make me laugh. I wouldn't trust you with a blade of grass, let alone vital information for the world's survival. I'm honestly surprised that you haven't abandoned Maya yet. I mean, you so easily threw me aside because you thought I wasn't the child of prophecy, so why didn't you abandon her when you found out you were wrong? Naruto turned towards the window. You may have stopped my yin half from destroying the village, but you are failures, as parents, and as shinobi. You left me and your village for a prophecy that might not even come to pass. Actions have consequences, and now, you will find out the consequences of yours. With that, Naruto left the office. 3 days later, a couple of things had happened during the past few days. First, Shino, Shikamaru were promoted while Naruto was promoted to special. The second was Naruto getting together with Hinata. The poor girl had the mother of all nosebleeds when she saw how he looked now. And finally, the truth of the Nine Tails attack and Naruto's heritage was announced to the public. The reactions were, as Naruto expected. All of the civilians and shinobi were angry at both the Namikaze group and at themselves. They felt horrible about their actions over the years, as Naruto being the fourth son meant that he was human, not a tailed beast. They didn't even care that the fox turned out to be a part of him. It just meant that it was once human itself. Plus, they were more concerned about atoning for their sins than the fox's origins. It probably helped that they all believed in the concept of the village being a family. That meant that theirs and the fourth's actions were inexcusable. The only ones that weren't angry at them were the other members of Team 7. Sasuke, Sakura and Kakashi had become outcasts because of it. Kakashi was still angry that Naruto destroyed his Rinnegan and had the gall to say that he had embarrassed the village in front of everyone at the exams. He had been demoted to genin and was stuck with catching Tora for the next 4 months. Sasuke believed it to be insulting that Naruto defeated him twice in the exams. Damn it, he was Rookie of the Year. He shouldn't have lost to the dead last. On top of that, Naruto was now the ruler of the gods. Just thinking about it made him angry. Sakura, well, she's the only remaining Sasuke fangirl. Enough said. Needless to say, the Namikaze group was depressed. The only exception being Maya. She was downright terrified of Naruto. She had inherited the negative emotion sensing of the Uzumaki clan. The anger and hatred rolling off of Naruto was frightening. She felt like she was in a pit full of demons out for her blood. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. They were supposed to be a happy family, not completely rejected by him. He even banished them from the Uzumaki, Namikaze, and Senju clans and sealed their bloodlines. It seemed that the saying was true. You reap what you sow, and Minato and Kushina's decisions have had dire consequences. Side story. Hinata's wrath. The rookies, minus Naruto, met up with Team 9 at Training Ground 8 after hearing the announcement of the fourth's actions. "Man, I can't believe that Naruto's own parents just abandoned him," Kiba said angrily. As an Inuzuka, he was taught that the pack is more important than anything. He couldn't imagine what Naruto was going through. "I'm more worried about Naruto. He has been rather angry lately," Ino said. She had given up on Sasuke after he tried to kill Naruto with a Chidori. The Uchiha was clearly unstable. Not exactly a turn-on. He has every right to be angry. His own parents abandoned him. Neji spoke. He had lost his father in the aftermath of the Hyuga incident. Being defeated by Naruto opened his eyes to Hinata's kindness, causing him to realize that her father was the one to blame. After all, if he had captured the hidden cloud shinobi rather than killing him, Neji's father might not have had to take Hiyashi's place. So he could understand that Naruto was angry as he didn't lose his father that night. Instead, he was left to the wolves by the so-called hero of the attack. Sasuke looked over at them, he deserved it. Shikamaru smirked, "Is that your opinion because he beat you twice and then humiliated you in front of a crowd a month later? Shut it. He just got lucky." Sakura screeched, "Naruto's just a loser who can't fight fairly. He doesn't deserve a family." Shino, Lee, Choji, and Tenten were edging away slowly from Hinata. Everyone knew about her crush on Naruto. They also knew that insulting him was a good way to get on her bad side, and the tick mark on her forehead along with her activating was not a good sign. This won't be pretty, they thought. Meanwhile, in Hiyashi's office, Hiyashi was dealing with paperwork when he got a sudden chill down his spine. He only got this chill when his wife was angry at someone insulting him when they were dating. It was typically followed by a beating far greater than anything Jiraiya had ever experienced. Given Hinata was just like her, it seemed someone had severely insulted Naruto. May the gods have mercy on the poor sap that angered her. He prayed. Back with the rookies, Hinata was fed up with Sakura insulting her boyfriend. Going up to Sasuke, she decided to punish Sakura by ruining her dream. "You got something to say, weakling," he said arrogantly. What happened next made him regret asking that question. The tick mark on Hinata's forehead got larger and the others began backing away as well. Sakura and Sasuke were clearly oblivious though. Without warning, she brought a gentle fist-infused leg upright between Sasuke's legs. Horrified, Sakura rushed him to the hospital. Unfortunately, they couldn't do anything for him other than ease the pain. From that point on, everyone watched what they said about Naruto when Hinata was around, lest they become the target of her new gentle fist technique. The Nutcracker. Hiyashi would later label it a forbidden technique of the Hyuga clan and have the Hokage place it in the scroll of sealing. Height: 5'11" prior to ascension, 7'2" after ascending. Shinobi rank. Special Jonin. Threat level. SS. Appearance: bright yellow eyes with a slit pupil. Has black fur that covers his limbs up to the knees and elbows. Has 10 canine tails and a pair of wolf ears on his head. His hair is black with red tips. Possesses razor-sharp claws on his hands and feet. Wears a black cloak and white pants with glowing red markings on them signifying his deity status. Carries a greenish-yellow rod-like sword with 4 letter-shaped protrusions on each side of the blade. Affinities: wind, water, lightning, earth, fire, yin, yang. Family: father Minato Namikaze, mother Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze, sister Maya Uzumaki Namikaze, cousin Tsunade Uzumaki Senju. Skill levels: Ninjutsu 10 tenths, Ninjutsu 10 tenths, Ninjutsu 710 cannot use due to massive chakra reserves, however, his status as a god renders all 100% useless. Ninjutsu 710 lacks an actual Kenjutsu style. Shuriken Jutsu 9 tenths, Hyuinjutsu 10 tenths. Bloodlines: adamantine sealing chains, Vapor Style boil release in Japan, Inferno Style blaze release in Japan. Agegan Shadow Eye unique to his deity status, always active. Causes his eyes to glow faintly. Only currently known ability is the power to view past events connected to emotions. Light Style Yin release in Japan, not unlocked. Arc Style Yang release in Japan, not unlocked. 6 paths. Sage Art Yin Yang release in Japan, not unlocked. Notes: Naruto is the current ruler of the gods. As such, he is immortal, has an unlimited amount of chakra, and he is nearly impervious to physical injury. His blade, the Fox Rods, has 2 forms. The first form has a 3 feet long blade and has an odd circular shape at the base that bends inward at the hilt. It has a glowing orange streak that outlines the edge. The second form looks like 3 thin, green, and yellow rods stuck side by side, with the middle one being longer than the others. The V-shaped hilt has 3 rods, with the bottom one ending in a spiral shape pointing downwards. The blade itself has 4 liter-shaped protrusions on each side, pointing upwards toward the tip. The first form causes normal physical injuries, while the second one pushes chakra out of the opponent with each strike until they are left with nothing. Being hit by the second form while out of chakra causes instant death. The amount of chakra lost from being hit by the blade's second form is in direct proportion to the physical injury that the attack would cause in its first form. Naruto hates his parents for abandoning him at birth, but it is unknown if he feels the same way about his sister, as he tends to avoid her whenever possible. He can be quite harsh in his opinion of others and has displayed a cold and emotionless demeanor when certain topics come up. He values family above all else, a trait shared among his friends, and will not hesitate to, as he puts it, erase anyone who threatens them. He is currently in a relationship with the heiress of the Hyuga clan, Hinata Hyuga. Warning. Do not engage ever. He is a true immortal, you idiots, not like that loudmouth Haiden. Have a side story. Yay. D. Side story. Kakashi vs. Tor Round 1. The Pitfall. It has been 2 days after the village-wide announcement of Naruto's familial situation. Kakashi was currently walking back to the mission office while glaring at what he considered to be a demon in disguise. Honestly, if I found the person that this thing managed to learn the clone from, he would skin them alive. At least it was going back to its owner and, poof, the log, how the hell did it learn the substitution? 30 minutes later, eventually he caught up to it. He was 2 feet from the cat when the ground suddenly gave out. He tried to stick to the walls, but found that they were covered in chakra-draining seals. Now the cat was looking down the hole, and he swore it was laughing at him. I'll capture you. Count on it. He shouted. Now he just had to figure out how to get out of here. 10 minutes later, he finally got out of the pitfall and continued tracking his target. He saw it go into a clearing in the forest. It seemed to think it was safe. This was his chance. He slowly and quietly made his way over to the cat only to fall into another hole. Groaning, he looked up and his visible eyes widened. The cat was holding a bucket with its tail. Kakashi whimpered, hoping that the awful smell coming from it wasn't what he thought it was. Alas, his prayers went unanswered. 40 minutes later, after taking a rather long and thorough shower, he resumed his hunt, more determined than ever to catch that cat after that last stunt it pulled. He walked out his front door and fell into another hole. The walls lit up with seals shaped like a chibi tore his face with the tongue sticking out, which then began spraying him with multicolored paint. To his horror, it was soaking into his makeout paradise. Graphic novel edition. There were only 20 copies ever made, and now he was ruined. 2. When I catch you, I'll mount your head on my mantle. He screamed to the heavens. Meanwhile, in the Divine Council's meeting room, Naruto was glaring at the cowering form of another upstart that thought they could try and make decisions for him without permission. Suddenly, he got a sense of great pride. Using the Kajigen, he viewed the events connected to it. He then got a vicious grin which only got scarier as he watched. Ami saw his expression. What's up? She asked, a bit nervous from the downright evil-looking grin on his face. He chuckled and shook his head. I'll tell you later. He replied as he stomped on the now minor Lynx deity's tail as they tried to escape. He should definitely reward that cat with another when he gets back. For now, it's provided him with some ideas for dealing with this troublemaker. 2 weeks have passed since the Namikaze group had returned. Minato had been rejected when he tried to retake the Hokage position, having been deemed unfit to be Hokage since he was willing to abandon his eldest child. When he argued that he was the strongest person in the village, the council laughed in his face. They stated that, as the ruler of the gods, Naruto was the strongest person in the village, not him. Kushina had gone to the friend she had before she left, only for that friendship to be denounced. Afterwards, she locked herself in her room, not coming out except for food. Maya's situation was complicated. She wasn't outright rejected, but she wasn't welcomed either. She hoped to make up with Naruto, but she couldn't find him. It was like he was avoiding her. The time she did see him, he would get a sad look in his eyes when he saw her. She remembered when he banished them from the clans. Flashback 2 days after the announcement, Maya and the others were walking up to the gates of the Namikaze estate. She noticed that they looked different than her parents had described. Naruto had probably changed some things in their absence. She saw her father wipe some of his blood on the seals covering the gate and face-palmed. Even she knew that Naruto would have taken measures to prevent them from getting in, and yet, her father isn't worried. Does he still believe that Naruto would accept them? True to her thoughts, the seals did not deactivate. Instead, a burst of chakra was released, sending him into a tree several meters away. Well now, I didn't think you would have the guts to show yourselves to me after seeing the villagers' reactions. They turned towards the voice to find Naruto sitting on the edge of the gate. He was glaring at them, although Maya could sense that the anger wasn't directed as badly at her. That was confusing, but she theorized that it had something to do with the way she was treated compared to the others. Naruto was livid. They had the gall to show up at his door even after seeing the consequences of their actions. Were they that arrogant? Jumping down, he decided to punish them himself. You have no right to be here. I, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, the Juubi no Akami, hereby banish you all from the Uzumaki, Namikaze, and Senju clans. He shouted. Making several hand seals, he landed on an unfamiliar sign, Sealing Jutsu. Celestial Prison. The large sealing array appeared below each of them. The seals traveled up their bodies in the form of several foxes twisting and turning over their chakra networks. The sheer pain caused by this caused them to cry out in agony. "What did you do?" Kushina demanded. She had never heard of that sealing. "I sealed off your bloodlines, but that isn't all the seal did," he explained. "This sealing is a modified version of the one used in Hazuki Castle, better known as the Blood Prison. However, instead of restricting chakra and injuring anyone that used a while branded, this seal locks away a person's yin chakra. Bloodlines do not use yang chakra, instead it uses yin chakra to give it the missing component. For example, the ice style of the Yuki clan is a mixture of wind, water, and yin elements. Without the yin chakra component, it becomes a watered-down imitation that is typically used in the land of snow. Without your yin chakra, you can't use your bloodlines. Sealing also happens to use yin chakra, so the celestial prison prevents Minato from using the flying Raijin or Rasengan. It also stops Tsunade from using medical or the metodic regeneration, both of which use yin chakra to speed up cell division. With this seal on Jiraiya, creating a counter seal is pointless, as he can no longer activate seals without his yin chakra. Everyone was horrified. He rendered them unable to use their specialties with just one. As Naruto left, having been called for a divine council meeting, Maya hung her head. However, when she looked down, her eyes widened. Her seal was a different design than the others. Flashback end. After analyzing the two sealing formulas, she determined that the seal placed on her had a trigger that would release it automatically. What that trigger was though well she could only speculate, but she had a feeling that she didn't want to find out. Angry or Shatter, get back here, you demon! Crash thud. She sweat dropped as she saw Kakashi fall into a hole that was beginning to emit tear gas. Looks like he is still trying to catch Tora. She had seen Naruto teaching it ninjutsu and how to make traps. Poor bastard probably never saw it coming. As she continued walking towards the apartment her parents bought, she saw someone on the ground. Upon closer inspection, she recognized a person as Sakura Haruno, one of her brother's former teammates. Maya cringed at the pool of blood under her. Was she? Her thoughts were interrupted when Sakura abruptly woke. "Sasuke. Where is he? Is he still here? We have to stop him from leaving." She passed out again. Maya was horrified by the extent of the girl's wounds. As she rushed Sakura to the hospital, Maya had only one thought: "Oh, this can't be good." 30 minutes later. "You too, huh?" Naruto had just gotten back from training in the Forest of Death when an Anbu told him the Hokage was at the hospital and had an emergency mission that needed him immediately. When he got to the hospital, he found Shikamaru and Shino waiting for him. "Yeah. It's a drag, any way you slice it, but for two, and to be called, it has to be important," Shikamaru said in an unusually serious tone. "Special Jounin." Naruto corrected me, "but yeah, this is no time to relax. Let's go." As they entered, Naruto tensed. Maya and Sakura were here. Great. The two people he wanted to avoid were going to be in the same room with him. However, he almost did a double take at their expressions. Sakura was in a cast and looked like she had just been told that she was going to be publicly executed. But it was Maya's expression that caused him to understand the severity of the situation. She looked betrayed. It was as if he was looking at himself the day he found out about Minato and Kushina. The look of an Uzumaki whose world had just fallen apart. He didn't know why, but he felt angry that someone made her upset. He needed to sort out his feelings in regards to her when this was over. Who did this? His voice wasn't raised, but even the densest idiot in existence could tell he was furious at their condition, and both heard the underlying message. "Tell me who hurt you so I can tear them apart." The Hokage stood up. At approximately 10:48 p.m. last night, Sasuke Uchiha attempted to kill Sakura, he began. The others gasped. Seeing Naruto's fur bristle, as the young god began to put the pieces together, he quickly continued. Her parents interfered, but Sasuke wasn't alone. Shino finished. Yes, Saratobi continued. Orochimaru's bodyguards, the Sound Ninja 4, were with him. The fight was escalating as Sakura ran, forcing them to retreat. Sakura managed to escape, but if Maya hadn't found her, she would have died from her wounds. Snap, everyone turned to Naruto. He had gripped his metal training bone so hard that it broke. He said two words that sent chills down everyone's spines. "Inject your Sharingan." Shikamaru's eyes narrowed. That meant that there was a fourth stage to the Sharingan. But what does it have to do with? His eyes widened as he put the pieces together. "It requires one to kill a friend to unlock that stage, doesn't it?" Naruto nodded. There was silence for a minute as everything sank in before Naruto stood up. Turning towards the window he spoke. "I don't get along with you, Sakura. You're rash, weak, and mentally unfit to be a shinobi." Sakura hung her head. However, Sakura looked up at him again. "You and I were teammates. We didn't get along then, and we may never do so, but it didn't change the fact that we've been through a lot. Even if you refuse to admit it, Team 7 was a family. We trained together, laughed together, fought together, and bled together. Nothing will change that. I will stop him. Even if I have to kill him. Because Team 7 was family, and family looks out for each other. Everyone smiled. Even though Naruto is much different, one thing hasn't changed. He still cares about friends. Sakura looked him in the eyes. Thank you, Naruto. Naruto smiled. Shikamaru. Yeah. Shino. The bug user nodded. I will erase anyone who threatens those I consider family, and we have an Uchiha to hunt. Naruto looked upon the assembled group. He had ordered Shino and Shikamaru to get 3 of the remaining Konoha 12 each. Maya stood next to him. He understood that she felt Sasuke's betrayal could have been avoided if Minato and Kushina hadn't left. It showed her the extent of the damage that the villagers' favoritism and bias caused, hence her expression of betrayal back in the hospital. If Minato had stayed, not only would Naruto have had a family, but he could have kept the council in line. Shino had found Tenten, Lee, and Niji, while Shikamaru found Choji, Kiba, and Hinata. He nodded. Alright, I suppose you have all been informed of the situation. He asked. Everyone nodded. Good. He continued, here is what we will do. Kiba, Niji, Hinata, you 3 are in front. Watch for traps and follow Sasuke's scent and chakra trail respectively. Shikamaru will be in the center with me and Lee. We will join any of the others if something gets too close. Choji will be right behind us followed by Tenten. He'll cover Tenten while she uses her weapons to cover us. In the event of a fight, which there will no doubt be one, 2 members will split off and fight an opponent 2-on-1. He pulled out a scroll. Seeing the confused faces, he continued, this scroll contains what little info we have on our opponents. First is Jirobo of the South Gate. His specialty is hand-to-hand combat, which utilizes his high level of strength. Choji and Tenten will face him. Second is Kidomaru of the East Gate. He is from an old hidden grass village clan that utilizes a thread-like substance made of chakra. Niji and Hinata will face him, as their gentle fist can sever the threads. Third is Seiken of the West Gate. I don't know much about him, so Kiba and Shino will fight. Shikamaru and Lee will face Taiya at the North Gate. She is a user. Maya and myself will deal with Sasuke. There is an unknown 5th member, but according to the intel, he died a day ago from a genetic lung disease. Everyone nodded. It was a good plan. Alright, let's go. With that, everyone took off. 45 minutes later, with Sasuke, 5 shinobi were jumping through the trees, panting heavily. They had just come out of an unexpected fight with several. Let's stop here. Sasuke said. Seiken looked over at him. Very well. He was cut off suddenly by a large sword embedding itself in the ground, coming dangerously close to beheading him. They all played when they recognized it, especially Sasuke. He still had nightmares about the pain the blade caused. Kidomaru signaled to Sasuke to keep going. They would hold them off. He nodded and ran, as fast as he could. The Sound Ninja 4 looked at their opponents. Kiba and Akamaru threw a paper bomb in the center of their group, causing them to split up to avoid the explosion. Shino and Kiba followed Seiken over a nearby cliff, while Choji and Tenten chased after Jirobo. Kidomaru quickly found himself on the business end of Niji and Hinata's combined 8 trigrams. Air palm, sending him through several trees. Taiya grit her teeth as Lee landed a solid punch to her chest when Shikamaru caught her with his shadow. Seeing each of the Sound 4 successfully occupied and separated, Naruto and Maya bolted after Sasuke. But Choji and Tenten, Jirobo swore. Their team was exhausted from fighting the group of, and now, they have to deal with a bunch of genin, 2 and 1. Special, he idly noted while dodging a hail of kunai. If they had gotten time to rest, this wouldn't be a problem, but the surprise attack prevented it. Choji took advantage of the distraction and gathered his chakra expansion jutsu. His body swelled up like a balloon and began spinning like a wheel. Seeing this, Tenten, who had been keeping his attention on her using her weapons, jumped back. Jirobo was confused but quickly placed a house-sized sphere speeding towards him. He had been so busy avoiding Tenten's attacks that there was no time to dodge. Human boulder. Bam. Choji crashed into Jirobo, sending him flying. Tenten threw several paper bombs at the helpless form of Jirobo, not wanting him to rebound from Choji's attack. The tags exploded above him, causing the resulting shockwave to send Jirobo downwards, while Choji channeled all of his chakra into his right fist. Just as Jirobo hit the ground, Choji lashed out. An audible crunch was heard as Jirobo's skeletal structure was crushed, killing him instantly from the shards that tore up his vital organs. A 16-foot-wide crater was created from the impact, a testament to the strength of the punch. The 2 leaf shinobi nodded to each other before heading off in the direction Sasuke ran. But Niji and Hinata, Kidomaru was furious. Normally he enjoyed a good fight, but he was exhausted and losing ground quickly. The pair of Hyuga were beating him like he was an academy student for Kami's sake. In heaven, Ami sneezed as her shadow clones were signing paperwork. Someone's talking about me. I hope it's Naruto. She mused. She really needed to thank him for helping her deal with paperwork. Back with Neji and Hinata, Kidomaru swung a sword made of his threads at Hinata. Neji used a body flicker to intercept him and started spinning. Rotation. Crack. Kidomaru's weapon shattered on contact with the spinning dome of chakra. Neji stopped spinning and took a stance. Lashing out at his opponent, he struck several of Kidomaru's chakra points. Hinata took advantage of Kidomaru's plight and charged her right leg with chakra. Kidomaru let out a girly screech and started foaming as she gave him a first-hand experience as to why Sasuke was unable to reproduce. Neji cringed. Despite them being enemies, he couldn't help but pity Kidomaru. Naruto's sadistic side had clearly rubbed off on his cousin as she was still kicking him repeatedly. Deciding to grant him some form of mercy, he struck the back of Kidomaru's head, shutting down the sound ninja's mind permanently. Hinata pouted as they headed towards Sasuke. She had wanted the man to suffer more for making Naruto angry. Neji sweat dropped at his cousin's expression. Yep. Naruto definitely rubbed off on her, but Shikamaru and Lee, they cursed repeatedly. This was a nightmare. She had lost her flute in the ambush and the shadow user had her trapped. The weird green kid with the big EYEBROWS she swore she saw them move on their own. Was beating her mercilessly. Shikamaru decided to end it. Signaling for Lee to back off, he placed his hands in the bird hand seal and shouted, "Shadow stitching jutsu." The shadows rose up and impaled her. Knowing that she was dying, she mouthed something to them. Shikamaru's eyes widened. But Kiba and Shino. Unlike the others, Kiba and Shino weren't doing so well. Seiken turned out to be two people in one. Seiken had somehow tried to merge with Kiba's body and would have succeeded if Shino hadn't engulfed Yukin, Seiken's other half, in poisonous insects. This forced him to let Kiba go. The two then proceeded to activate their curse marks. This made them immune to Shino's insects as they dropped dead upon eating the vile chakra of the seals. Kiba attempted to separate them but was blocked by their Rashomon. Got any ideas? Kiba asked, still smarting from his collision with the demonic gate. That thing was definitely tough. Shino shook his head. His bugs were useless against them, Kiba wasn't strong enough to hurt them, and that massive wall was not falling anytime soon. Wait, falling. Shino's eyes widened. Kiba. What happens when you bump into a fence that is no longer attached to the ground? He asked. Kiba caught on and got a viscous grin. Shino idly noted that it was too much like Naruto's for his comfort. Kiba and Akamaru gathered their chakra while Shino sent his bugs into the ground. Ninja art. Man-beast transformation. Two-headed wolf. Kiba shouted as he and Akamaru merged into a two-story tall wolf with multiple heads. Shino nodded to them as his bugs finished loosening the ground beneath the gate. The combined master and partner jumped forward while spinning. Wolf fang over fang. The makeshift tornado crashed into the gate. No longer rooted to the ground, it began to fall backwards. Seiken and Yukin watched helplessly as their own defense was turned against them. The size of the gate meant that there was no escape. As the gate collapsed, ending the twins' lives, Seiken and Yukin muttered something. Kiba and Shino gave a moment of silence. They both heard what the brothers had said. Even in the end, they stood by each other's side. Had they not been with Orochimaru, those two could have been great friends. As they headed in Sasuke's direction, they vowed to end Orochimaru for tainting such pure souls. The end. Thanks for watching my video, see you next time, till then sayonara.